guys, my name is Emily Brissette and welcome to my very first speed build video. You'll see here that I am drawing walls kind of in a peculiar way. That's because I am actually looking at a floor plan that I'm using as an inspiration. So I kind of know what the basic shape is that I want. I use floor plans a lot when I build just as inspiration. I also, right here, you'll see, ended up cutting out, not cutting out, but I thought I was recording and I didn't record a lot of the roofing. So that kind of just magically shows up for you guys, unfortunately. So you didn't get to see what I did there, but it took a long time to try and find something that worked and looked reasonable. So I wish I had that for you guys, but unfortunately I don't. The picture that I was going off of actually had this kind of orange roof and kind of a mustardy colored exterior, and so you'll see that I tried that out, but it didn't look exactly right, so I ended up going with a blue exterior. The stairs here, same thing. I did get it actually all recorded. It was probably an hour worth of fiddling with those stairs, trying to get them to work in a way that they could layer on top of each other and look okay in the space that I had for them. But I just ended up editing that out and showing you the final product there because you didn't need to see all that taking up all the time in the video. But definitely know that it was a labor of love to trying to get those to work correctly. Same with the windows. I show you some of switching that out, but in the end I ended up with different windows than some of the windows I originally placed, and definitely pleased with the final result, but I tried a bunch of different things. So right there, because I ended up having to place these deck pieces, that bedroom wall was supposed to be straight, and I had to kind of alter it to go around the decking piece, and so there's a little jut, kind of an alcove into the bedroom, but it ended up working out all right. I had never tried to place a wall like that before around that decking, so that was something new that I encountered. Definitely doing the speed build, I have learned a lot in just doing the one about how I'm going to move the camera in the future for editing purposes, and I had to edit out a lot of the camera turning just because that takes up a lot of time when you're trying to edit the video. And my first rough draft was 9 hours, and even speeding that up, that's far too long for a speed build video. So I definitely ended up cutting a lot more in this version than I would have liked to keep it shorter. So you'll see, especially in the interior, I kind of just fly past a lot of stuff, but definitely in the future I will be more mindful. So it was definitely an awesome learning experience as far as doing the first speed build. I knew in this lot that I wanted to have, the farmhouse, the barn, an animal area, and then I have these 2 gardens. Originally I was planning on having those both be gardens. But you'll see I kind of alter the plan as I go. I did not have a plan in mind other than those kind of general areas, and so I'm kind of making it up as I go, and so I alter it a lot. One area ends up being for the garden, and then another area ends up being for an orchard. I decided I want to put an orchard area in. You'll see here I originally was planning that to be a garden as well. And then in front of the barn I also have that animal area, but I decide eventually to minimize that and just have the animal area in the rear. Now those objects are debug objects. I had created a room full of debug objects that I wanted to use that were kind of farm orientated, that I knew I would just be able to place down. So if you want those farm objects, you can definitely download it in my gallery. Same with the orchard. I knew I was going to be using those trees, and so I just created a room with trees and plopped them down and was able to just place them quickly, just for convenience of the video. So I decided right there, off on the side of the garden, that I was going to do a little floral area with the kind of a sitting area, and I have the wishing well over there eventually, and a bird feeder. You know, I definitely have a lot of gardens in this this build. I definitely miss gardening. I used to do that in real life quite a bit, and I don't do it anymore. I just don't have the energy for it, and so I kind of get my gardening out in the Sims, and definitely a lot of my builds have gardens and extensive gardens. I definitely use move objects on to get a lot of the layered look, so definitely when you're placing my lots, pretty much exclusively make sure you have that on. I think a lot of us builders use that definitely. Here is the kind of the red and purple garden area. Kind of what I'm thinking of is the bird area, like for birds, and you know, right there is the area for like the backyard. I originally put a swing set and then a sandbox, which is now usable since the island living sand you can play in. So that's awesome that we can have sandboxes now. But the swing I ended up switching out, is even though you can use it, your Sims will actually use it. It's right up against the fence, and so they were swinging through it and it looked kind of strange. So I ended up putting like the monkey bars there instead, and that kind of looks better as far as gameplay and stuff. You know, I definitely wanted to have these stalls, but my barn ended up so shallow that they're actually pretty little. But that works because, you know, our pets right now aren't really that big. I ended up right here using the purple debug. It looks like sage to me. I think the texture is a little different than the ones we get in the gardening menu, and so I like that different texture look of the debug ones. You know, I ended up, you'll see in the end that I ended up using a mod to kind of rotate some of the objects in a way that you normally wouldn't be able to. Like the pumpkin in the truck is actually sitting on its side, and it actually doesn't show up as a mod when you place it in your game, which is something I like, is that I can use it as a builder to kind of rotate objects, but that, you know, you as somebody who's downloading the lot, actually it doesn't count because you have those existing objects in your game, and so it still isn't a modded object. Even though I have technically modified it, it's not a modded object. I will definitely link that mod if you want to use that yourself. I will put it in the link below. I kind of, like I said, sped through the interior. I ended up cutting a lot just because I rotate things so much that it kind of flies right by, and it's definitely something I'm going to be mindful of next time I record a video for a speed build. It's just all the rotating that I ended up cutting out. This is a 4-bedroom house, the way I built it. 4 bathrooms, I believe. You'll see here the kitchen. The way I build it here, I end up kind of raising the stove in order to make it work with the island that I'm doing, and in the lot that I have uploaded to the gallery, I have modified it so that your sim can actually use it. You know, I play tested it so that your sims can actually, you know, use the lot and use everything in it. I tried to show you this little dishwasher trick I do. I saw that from another speed build. I definitely learned a lot watching these speed builds. And you place a dishwasher in the counter and then minimize it so it's kind of empty looking, and then you can place these curtains. So it kind of looks like a a curtain covered cabinet below there. And that was a really cute trick that I thought would be good for this, kind of country home. Definitely, I have my preferences. I use a lot of the same objects and kind of place them the same way. In this one, I use a lot of wreaths. I don't usually do that, but I think with the country home vibe, I definitely saw a lot of wreaths happening. In the upstairs hallway, you'll see that I place the kind of llama statue from the Jungle Adventure game pack. Interesting story about that is when you place it, I also place it with a refined gem. I tend to do that in most of my builds. I try to if I remember, because it's kind of my little signature thing that I place. When it's used on your sim, if you read the description, it says it causes a bad case of narcolepsy, and your sims will actually kind of suddenly fall asleep randomly. And I actually have narcolepsy in real life, so I definitely make my sims have this on purpose. It's something I definitely can relate to, and I'm actually glad that it's represented in the game, even though it's kind of not accurately represented. It's kind of special to me. I'm pleased that there is kind of a version that my sims can have, because it's something that I live with every day. So I try to put that in my builds as kind of my own little signature, and you'll see that again in the upstairs hallway. There are these 2 kid bedrooms, and you definitely could switch out toddler beds if you wanted to use it for toddlers, or even put a baby, a crib in there. And then there's the master bedroom, and then I have kind of like what I'm calling a suite. It's got a full bath and its own kind of bedroom that is in the 3rd floor. And here is kind of the family room with the TV and the gaming area. And then there's actually a formal dining or formal living room, right? This room here has kind of the bar area, and yeah, definitely more formal as opposed to the family area. And even though we have that sort of kitchen island to sit at and then the benches in the kitchen, there's also a formal dining room. And you'll see here that I used a table, this one here, and raised it up through the basement, minimize it so it's a little bit smaller than it normally would be. Your sims aren't going to be able to sit at it, but it creates that cool bench look that's real common with the kind of country furniture. In fact, my guess is that your sims are going to try and place things on it like a table. I do the same trick in the front with the pumpkins. I wanted some pumpkins up on the stairs, and so you'll see that I raise it up through the basement. There isn't a basement otherwise on this lot, but there's those 2 rooms to raise up the pumpkins and the bench for that formal dining room. Just a little trick that I, of course, learned watching the speed build videos of other folks. So that's one reason I really love watching speed builds and kind of wanted to do my own, is because I really definitely learned a lot on how to build things through watching these speed builds. I created a little storage room area there for your holiday items, and you could replace whatever you want. You could even change out that room, put in a bathroom. Thanks for watching.